It's time for Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, James Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Oahe Federal Credit Union, and Edward Jones Financial. Coach's Corner is also brought to you by Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. From the KCCR studios in Pierre, KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
And a good evening as we welcome you here inside the KCCR studios on this Wednesday evening. John Winkler here with you as we have our final edition of Coach's Corner for 2024. We'll return back at the 8th of January in 2025 as we'll take the next 3 weeks off. We have college football next Wednesday, and then, of course, it's Christmas and then New Year's on those Wednesdays. So we will return in 2025, that second Wednesday of January, with the fact that it will be the 8th and a week from New Year's Day. But we're talking plenty of basketball here this evening as we're going to talk with Brianna Kusler of the Pierre boys basketball team, Kirk Bebout of the Pierre girls basketball team, and also Joey Fisher of the Stanley County boys basketball team. So we've got plenty of basketball talk for you here on Coach's Corner to wrap up the 2024 edition of the season and come back with you in 2025 after that. But we'll return talking with Coach Brianna Kusler next of the Pierre boys basketball team. You're listening to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 30 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agriculture. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. That number again is 223-2518. Todd's Electric Service, serving the Pierre-Fort Pierre area. Todd's Electric Service, the line to power.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Now I'm playing for real.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good. What play should I call now? Maybe corner three.
He's hot. He is hot. Keep feeding that guy.
Now back to Coach's Corner with KCCR award-winning sports director, John Winkler.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Brianna Kusler of the Pierre boys basketball team as they get set to start the season on Friday and Saturday at home against Rapid City Stevens and then Rapid City Central. The way it always works of going to Rapid that first weekend or coming here where Rapid comes here. The girls will be out in Rapid. The boys will be here at home. Coach, you get a chance to start the season at home. Now, the side of it, and I asked the coaches, hey, are you excited for the season to get going? And I think the answer I know the answer to this is you like a few more practices probably before you get the season rolling. Only having a couple weeks and not even really 2 full weeks of practice, it's kind of hard on a coach. I know everybody's in the same spot, but it's a little hard on a coach.
Yeah, you're definitely right. I mean, I think any coach is definitely going to say that, when the game time is coming, you're hoping that you're fully prepared for stuff. But these first couple weekends, you're kind of going in a little bit blind, only because there's such a turnover every year for different guys. Guys graduate, some guys don't go out, all of that type of stuff. So it's pretty new. So there's a lot, from a scout standpoint, it's minimal for the other team, largely because they haven't played any games, and you don't really know exactly. I mean, you can pick up some tendencies from years before and athletes that have played for a couple years now. But other than that, these first couple weekends are a big focus on ourselves. And I think anybody who's ever planned practices understands. I mean, there's not enough time in the day to get everything done that you would like to. I mean, we've got a lot of different breakdowns every day in practice, and I think we could spend half of a practice every day just doing some fundamental breakdowns, just because you're getting back into the swing of things, and that goes for anybody across the state. But you just don't have that kind of time on your side, and like you said, everybody's in the same boat, and so you take what you got, and I don't doubt that our boys are going to be ready to go come Friday and Saturday. They're at that point, as few of practices as it is, it's still enough for them to be tired of beating up on one another, and it's time to go and get to beat up on somebody else for once.
Well, and you're starting this season with not a whole new team, but there's guys that graduate. Obviously, losing Cooper Twilger to injuries, so that adds on to it too. But there's a lot of open spots that are able to be taken by these younger guys that are coming up, or maybe some that have been on the varsity roster to step into those new roles and more bigger roles as well. But how has practice been with that competition of trying to get those open spots?
It's been awesome. Every single day has been just that, very, very competitive. We've broken them out in different groups at different times, playing with different guys, because that's what it's going to end up being this year. There are going to be a lot of guys that see the floor that we're hopeful for to be able, especially by the end of the season. The style of play that we're looking to do is a little bit foreign to, I would say, even the state of South Dakota, because we're looking to play really fast, really aggressive defense. It might not necessarily be immediate, just as everybody's getting conditioned and be able to play a full 32 minutes. But our goal is to, by the third quarter, teams are so worn down that we can take things off, or that we can keep the hammer down, but we can extend leads into the fourth quarter and stuff. And we preach a lot of, not in the first quarter, we're not going to beat a team, not in the second quarter, not in the third quarter, but that's that fourth quarter endurance that we've got to be prepared for. And with a lot of different guys who, a lot of athletes that we have right now, who can play a lot of different positions and be pretty versatile. We're going to be somewhat undersized. I would say we are average height. I think we're just fine, but we don't have just any twin towers or anything like that. But what they lack maybe in height, they certainly don't lack in their effort and their competitive nature either. So that's something that we're really looking forward to this year is who's ready to step up, and when your number's called and if you get the opportunity to step out there, you got to give us everything that you have, regardless if that's 2 minutes a quarter or that's 32 minutes a game. I mentioned the style of play. One of the things, and some people that have watched us, we've only played here once, but Bismarck and the way that they play is very in your face. For them, it's two halves up in North Dakota, but make or miss, they are on you full court, and that's something that, again, might not necessarily be these first couple of weekends, but who knows? We might test it out there, but that's what we're looking forward to is being able to apply some fresh pressure in the full court, make or miss, and really wearing teams down with the depth that we do have. And
you're exactly right too. High school coaches have to adapt to the players that are there. College coaches can go and recruit the players that they want and play that same system that they always want to do. You may want to do the same system, but when you look at the roster that you have, you're kind of saying, hey, we got to play with we are playing with what we have, and this is how we're going to do. And it sounds like the peer governors are from year to year. Maybe they're the same next year as they are this year, but from year to year, you kind of have to change how things look.
Yeah, absolutely, and the kids have really bought into that. I say it every year, but I really genuinely mean it every year, and I know coaches are supposed to say that they've got great kids, but I genuinely mean it when I say it. We have some awesome kids who want to work hard. They're not selfish. They come in, they bust their butt for each other, and that's going to lead to good things for them beyond the basketball court even. And that's something, though, that we're really excited for on the basketball court. Now, there's times where sometimes maybe they're too unselfish, and we need them to take some open looks. And we're working through those things. We've got different guys who are going to be called upon to play varsity who have never stepped on the varsity floor, and it's kind of you're tossed into the ringer right away, tossed into the fire, and but I know that with the senior leadership that we have and the upperclassmen leadership, it's not going to take them long to get acclimated to the varsity floor. And that's one thing that this year we do return a few seniors who did see some significant time last year, and they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder this year. They've got something to prove right now. They aren't content with the way that things have ended last year, and they want to come out here and compete and show everybody what they're capable of, because there's a lot of talent within our gym right now, and a lot of athletes and a lot of great kids who again are just excited to compete and take pride in being a Governor basketball player.
Yeah, you mentioned it too. Some of those seniors in Sawyer Sunshine, Dawson Getz, Luke Olson, as well as also I'm missing someone right now. Eladio Simontal. Yep. He had some time too as well. And when you talk about that style of play, well, these guys can all shoot the ball really well. Dawson Getz can probably spot up anywhere across the floor and shoot, but to be able to move quickly up and down the floor. Those are kind of, I wouldn't say, well, you could probably say a prototype of what you want to see are those kind of guys right there that you have.
Absolutely. They're long, they're athletic. Sawyer Sunshine, what he might lack in height, he makes up for in just his dog defense that he has. I mean, he is a pest out there, and I mean that in the best way possible. We've talked in the way that he plays defense. You've got kids like Caleb Morris, who's a junior for us this year, and some other guys that at times, Sutton Sunshine is one as well, who Carter Shufflebine, when they really buckle down and they're defending you, it is miserable to be the offensive person playing against them, and you cannot wait to get the ball out of your hand, and there's very few times where you want it back. And I think that's a message that we've been trying to send, and the boys are picking up on and buying into. When teams are done playing us, whether it results in a win or a loss on for us is irrelevant. We want them to never want to play us again because of our effort, because we're diving on the floor after balls, we're taking charges, we're in your face defensively, we're not going to give up easy rebounds, we refuse to be outworked on both the offensive and defensive end. Those are all things, and at this point, all it is lip service. All we're giving, we can preach it all we want, but we need the guys to go out there and prove, and they're capable of it, and we're really looking forward to what they can do come Friday and Saturday.
Talking with Brianna Kusler here of the Pierre Boys basketball team. Let's talk a little bit about Friday and Saturday. You mentioned it earlier, and rightfully so, not a whole lot of scouting report for Stevenson Central. There's not, probably not enough practice time to even get the scouting report across from what the things you want to do for yourself. But then on top of it, you get two games, and the opportunity of playing back-to-back days. As a coach, you probably do you like it for the fact that you can forget about day one, regardless if it was good or bad, and get right back on the court and go again? Do you like having those 2 days back to back to start the season?
Yeah, I do. I think I've learned to love it because that's the reality of it, and it was how it was when I played too. I mean, you played Friday, Saturdays all the time with some of the teams you were traveling to and stuff. So typically that first, even when I was in Aberdeen, it was Rapid Cities and then your Rapid City schools, and then you played Sturgis Spearfish. So you had those back-to-back days, and you kind of have to embrace it. Again, everybody's in the same boat there. It's not like one team only is playing Friday and then not on Saturday or vice versa. Everybody has the same card that they're dealt, and so embracing that is certainly something that we want to do. And there's definitely things as we'll have some scouting stuff done, but for the most part, this, and really, in all honesty, it's a lot for the entire year. Yeah, we've got plenty of scout that takes place, but we've got to control what we can control, and that's ourselves. And if we don't take care of that, it's going to be really difficult to beat anybody, regardless of if we have a great scouting report in place or a great attack in place. So controlling what we can control on both ends of the ball for us is going to be a point of emphasis going into this first weekend especially, and being able to settle in. I think it's nice. I think the boys appreciate, too, being able to play on Friday, and whether we win, whether we lose, whatever, you're learning. There's a lot of learning that takes place this first weekend, as for all games. But it's certainly an opportunity to respond the next day immediately. You don't have to come back for practice for a week straight before you play again. So you get to play the next night, or actually, I guess the next afternoon, almost morning. So it's a quick turnaround, and short-term memory. You learn from it, and you move forward to the next game. And it kind of mimics a little bit of what a state tournament is like. And I mean, you got 3 days where you've got to do the same thing. But certainly these first couple of weekends here are setting us up for what postseason basketball looks like as well.
And quick final question, too, is biggest key for the Pierre Governors on Friday and Saturday, wins and losses aside, maybe you do want to say we got to have 2 wins, but what's kind of the biggest key for the Governors to be successful on Friday and Saturday in your mind?
I think defensive tone needs to be set from the get-go, and it is. We want it to be in their face. We want to send a message that nothing is going to be easy defensive or offensively for them, and allowing our defense to play into our offense, and then getting good execution on the offensive side of things. We'll take our simple scores in transition if we've got them, but otherwise settling into some of our offense and getting some of our good continuity actions, good ball reversals, everything like that. We have in enough at this point to be a threat. We certainly don't have everything in, given we're 9 practices in right now, but it's what we do have in works, and we've got kids who are willing to work to make that work. So I think, but it starts certainly, and this is something that, we reiterate all the time about our defense plays into our offense, and defense and rebounding is going to win us a lot of games.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It's good to have basketball season back. Looking forward to it this year. Good luck on Friday and Saturday. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. That is Brianna Kusler, the head coach of the boys basketball team. Back with more of the Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com. KCCR Radio.
Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota is serving the central South Dakota community and beyond with a great selection of used vehicles. Local trades and program vehicles are available. New Toyotas and new Fords are arriving and selling before they even hit the lot. So don't wait. Stop in and find out what's coming. If you've been thinking about ordering a new Ford, stop in and sit down with one of our sales specialists today. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota at 518 East Sioux Avenue in Pierre. Call 605-224-7378 and visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
It takes hard work to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than just sports. It also goes for your financial goals. You work hard for your money. You deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. Your local Edward Jones financial advisor can help. If your investments aren't getting you closer to the win, visit edwardjones.com or stop by your local Peer Area Edward Jones office for a financial review. Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
You like that? You like that?
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team as they get set to start the season on Friday and Saturday out in Rapid City, taking on Stevens on Friday night, and then we'll be Central on Saturday afternoon. Coach, it's good to talk to you. You've got to be pretty excited. You know, obviously you've had a couple weeks of practice now, but you got to be pretty excited that we've gotten into game week now.
Yeah, I mean, I think the girls are probably a little bit more excited than myself. I myself enjoy the practices and the growth that happens there, but I'm sure the girls are ready to get out there and start competing and playing games. That's the fun part for them, is when they get to see all that hard work that they put in to practice, show up on the court. So I'm sure they're looking forward to it, and I am as well. It just, a lot of that growth and a lot of those things that we like to work on happens at practice. And I think most coaches would agree that while we love the games and the competition, where we do our work is during those practices leading up. So
I'm sure, too, yeah, on top of that, having Thanksgiving week, the first week of practice, you probably say, give me another, well, probably not just 1 week, give me a couple, 2, 3, 4 weeks here before we start playing some games, because I know we've had that conversation before, that the coaches love practice time. Players sometimes maybe say, let's get a game. Coaches say, give me some more practice time.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it is a little crazy to me, like colleges, they have a couple months of, college basketball has a couple months of practice before they start playing games, and we have a week or 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Boys are even at a more of a rush where they only have less than 2 weeks and they're already playing games. So, I mean, it is a little bit of a rush. You got to keep it in context that there's, it's going to be a little messy and sloppy at times, and a lot of figuring things out, especially where we're at right now with limited practice time before you start playing games. But, there does come a time when you got to get out there and play, and you just got to kind of see where you're at to get an accurate measure so that you can, take those things that you're both good at and need to work on and move forward. So, I think it is good to get out there and, see a little bit of action so we have a better understanding of where we're at.
Well, let's talk about the Pierre Governor team. A couple of seniors graduated: Brianna Sargent, Lise Christopherson, Lavin Price, Ryan Berry, Reese Twilliger, all graduate from last year's team, and a lot of them played significant roles on the team. And I'm sure you could say too that all of them, regardless of how many minutes they had, played a significant role for the Pierre Governors. But those losses now turned into open spots and opportunity for the competition to get those spots. How has practice been over the couple weeks for those starting spots, for those role players? How has practice been for competing for those opportunities?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say, we, like you mentioned, those seniors that we lost, and you're right, every single one of them, whether they didn't come out of the game or they hardly played, had huge roles for us in our makeup of our team. So, I mean, anytime that you start a new year with different players, or even if it's the same players a new year, it's just a whole different process. And I think it's been, kind of a filling out process for us to see who's gonna take some leadership, who's gonna step up and want the ball in certain moments, and I think that's the biggest part for us right now is, who are we exactly, and who are our leaders, and how do we want this thing to go? So I don't think it's something that can be, figured out in 2 weeks, honestly. I think it's going to be one of those things when we get some adversity who wants to step up and take the bull by the horns, so to speak, and get the thing going in the right direction when it's tough. So I think there's a lot of things that are to be determined. I don't think you can rush those things. Some of it has to happen organically, and I'm just excited to find out as anyone else.
I'm talking with Coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governor girls basketball team. Again, they start this weekend, Friday night out in Rapid City, Saturday afternoon Friday night against Stevens, and Saturday afternoon against Central. One player, and obviously we can talk a few more of these seniors that are getting ready for this season, but Lennox Dupree, now senior, has been starting and been playing significant time since she was a freshman, and always been playing with those girls that have been older than her over the course of the varsity seasons. And now as a senior, the fun of what we get to see with Lennox this year. Obviously, we'd like to see Lennox play Pierre Governor basketball for 7-8 years, if we could. But boy, she is one of the best players in the state for a reason. She's got a lot of playing time over the last couple of years for a reason, and now going into her senior year, it's kind of a tough question to say. What are your expectations for her? But what have you seen from her in practice leading up to this first game? Now that she's into that senior year.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly where to start with Lennox, other than she's earned everything that she's gotten. She's put in the time and made the sacrifices that it takes to be one of the best. I mean, sometimes I don't think people totally understand what it takes, and I think that's something about Lennox, is that she has understood from the get-go exactly what it takes to be the player that she's become. She's done things the right way. She's focused on her skills and her fundamentals ahead of playing 50 games in the summer. So she's just taken the right approach to things, and it's been a fun progression to watch, because when she got started as a 9th grader, even as an 8th grader, she came up and was in our practices, and just a progression from being a very heady, smart, get us into offense, make the right decision point guard, to last year being a 2 guard, being a more aggressive scorer. And now this year, honestly, she's, I don't think it's a secret. She's our best shooter. She's our best passer. She's our best defender. She's our best rebounder. She's our best everything. So she's really got to kind of try to mesh all those things together. She's got to be the 1 and the 2 in a sense. So, and on top of that, she's got to make everyone else around her better and help them elevate their games if we're going to be successful. So, she has a lot on her shoulders, but she's put herself in a situation to handle something like that. And it just comes from all of her hard work and the time that she's put in. That's kind of the way it works. There's no shortcut. So, I do have to say, I think it's just, with her background coming from Eagle Butte and some of the pressures that she probably faces being in different communities and things like that, I'm just so impressed by her. Like, I can't say enough about the way she's carried herself and handled herself and matured and progressed as not only a basketball player, but as a young lady. So I'm excited to be her coach, and I've been very fortunate that I've gotten to do that for the last 4 years.
Also, seniors on the team, Gracelyn Taylor, Grace Richter, Addison Soma, Carly Mom, those other 4 and those 5 make up of the seniors. And obviously with Gracelyn Taylor and Grace Richter seeing significant time on varsity last year too, again, there's a lot of open spots and a lot of opportunities from the girls that graduated last year, but those seniors, you're looking for that leadership, and I think for that group of that 5 that you have, got to be pretty happy. If you're handpicking seniors, you got to be pretty happy with those 5 girls.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I know we have some challenges and a lot of growing to do. I mean, that's, there's no denying that. But they're fun kids, and I like the way they play. They play hard, and they play with some energy, and that makes it exciting, and it makes we have things that we can work with. I mean, it's easier to pull the reins back than it is to try to get them to amp it up. And then those girls play with a lot of energy and effort. So, now it's just a matter of harnessing it in a way that's going to help our team to be successful. But they're just really fun girls. Like, I really just enjoy being around them and their attitudes and the way that they play. So it's going to be a little bit different style and a little bit of a process getting into how we want it to be, but definitely looking forward to it.
A couple of questions here to wrap things up. First, let's talk about your opponents on Friday, Stevens, and then Central on Saturday. But Stevens is a team you saw twice, lost them at the beginning of the season, then came back and beat them when it mattered the most in the state tournament on your way to a fifth-place finish in the Constellation Championship. A really good test right out of the gate for Stevens. Regardless of who they graduate, who they bring back, Stevens has been a consistently a good basketball team. Again, sometimes it's nervous, sometimes it's fun to get that good competition right away. But what do you expect kind of from Stevens on Friday?
Oh, they're really good. They didn't graduate much, and then I know they got some transfers that came in. So they're definitely probably top 3 team, honestly, top 5 for sure in the state to start with. So we have to keep that in perspective, as far as what we should expect, because they're kind of more of a finished product. They've had all the same girls doing the same stuff, and they put a lot of time in over the summer. And the honest truth is, we haven't really had that time together. The summer wasn't great for us in terms of getting all of our girls together at the same time and working. So we're playing a lot of catch up, and to start the season right off the bat with one of the best teams in the state, we're going to have to keep that in perspective, and we're going to have to battle and compete and see what we can do in order to really see where we're at so that we can keep working and get better.
And then Central on Saturday, again, these first couple days or the first couple weekends where you play Friday, Saturday, and obviously you'll be at home for the following weekend when Sturgis and Spearfish come to town. But those back-to-back days, how nice is that, regardless of a win against Stevens, a loss against Stevens, that you come back and play Central the next day, get another opponent, and kind of be able to work through, again, the good and the bad of it all on Friday, what you kind of want to see from your team on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's it's kind of a tricky situation, honestly, because you can't let the first day affect your second day one way or the other. Say we come out and we play really, really well, and then there's a game the next day. So yeah, it's a matter of moving on really quickly the next day and still bringing that same type of energy and focus, regardless of what happened the first day, whether it was good or bad, win or loss, or anything in between. So. It's just, you have to, that's life. Something good happens, something bad happens. You have to do it again the next day and keep doing the best that you can, and then good things will happen. So, it'll be a unique challenge for us, and regardless of what happens, it's really, you kind of mentioned like with Thanksgiving and the schedule, it's kind of a funky setup, I guess I would say. Like we'll have these games, and same thing the next weekend, we're playing back-to-back, and then we have literally 8 days off for Christmas. So I think we really have to look at this as our assessment period, seeing where we're at, seeing what's working, see who can play different spots and do different things, all the while trying to compete the best that we can and see if we can get some wins in there, hopefully. But regardless, we can't really freak out over these first 4 games in December, and we have to just use it to help kind of guide where we go next.
Well, and then final question, you kind of already touched on a little bit too. The biggest key, again, wins or losses aside, biggest key for the Governors to be successful this weekend against Stevens and Central.
Yeah, I like I said, I wouldn't really base the success on the wins or losses. Just a matter, I would say, the number one thing would be our attitudes. Are we moving on to the next thing? Are we continuing to want to learn and stay energetic regardless of what happens? If some great things happen and we're super successful, are we staying humble and realizing that we have a lot of things to work on to continue to get better? So, the main thing I'm going to be looking at is, what are our attitudes, what's our frame of mind, what's our perspective, and how we're going to continue going forward.
Well, Coach, hey, I appreciate the time. It's good to have basketball season back. Looking forward to it. Again, the Pierre Governor girls, they start the season on Friday night against Stevens and then Saturday afternoon against Central on the road as the 2024-25 season's underway. Coach, appreciate the time. We'll be talking again soon.
All right, appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. That is head coach Kirk Bebout of the Pierre Governors, back with more Coaches Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. KCCRradio.com. KCCR.
Score big on your next vehicle purchase with Lamb Motor Company in Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre. Check out their large selection of new and pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at any one of their locations, or go online to lambmotor.com. That's LAMBMOTOR.com. Or give them a call today at 800-952-2222. Lamb Motor Company of Oneida and Gettysburg, Lamb Chevrolet and Implement in Oneida, and Lamb Auto Sales in Pierre.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
This fall, take some time to think about your future. While the leaves make their way down to earth and the last sunset of summer leaves us with an autumn chill, it's time to grab the nearest foam finger and break out the face paint. Rush the stands with First Dakota National Bank and forget how to blink. Fall sports are back with jaw-dropping plays, an electric atmosphere, and epic scores. Make some noise with First Dakota National Bank. Open a new account online today at firstdakotanationalbank.com. Member FDIC.
Let me talk to you. You're listening to Coach's Corner on Central South Dakota's sports leader, KCCR.
Yeah.
As we welcome you back to Coach's Corner here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. Joining me is Coach Joey Fisher of the Stanley County Boys basketball team as they get set to start their season. That'll be coming up Thursday against the Miller Rustlers at home in a boys and girls doubleheader. Coach, it's good talking to you again, and returning from last year with a 14-8 record from last year. A couple of these guys are continuing to get better. There's a lot of returning guys from last year's team that now are a year older. There's got to be a lot of excitement getting on the basketball court with practice the last couple weeks.
Yeah, we were excited. We had a really good summer, and we lost one senior last year with Brock, and he's going to be a big piece to fill. But there's a lot of excitement. Once we kind of got rolling, got closer to basketball season, and it's shown in practice. I mean, these are some of the best practices that I've had. I know and that we've had in probably a long time, just because we're ready to get out there and kind of start this season and show just the jumps that we've made. We've been the young team, even the last couple of years, just a lot of underclassmen with like these guys being freshmen, sophomores and juniors. But now we're kind of that older group. One thing I think we'll be able to really pride ourselves on is like just that maturity level this year. We played a lot of basketball, and I think that's going to end up paying a lot of dividends for us, especially as this year gets rolling. And like you said, the excitement's there. But we know that we got to go out and take it one game at a time and go show what we're about.
Yeah, and I was going to say, last year you guys were 9 points away from getting to the Sodak 16, lost to Shining Butte, and it's a long way away to that region tournament. But did that kind of feel like that has kind of drawn the fire and drawn this team to work harder and harder in the summertime, knowing how close you guys were to getting to that Sodak 16 and being that one game away from going to state?
Yep, and that's kind of what we talked about this year is what are we going to do different than what we did last year? What's the difference going to be? What kind of team are we going to be? And, that Eagle Butte loss, it definitely, that kind of lights that added fire. We went from a 3-win team to a 14-win team last year, but we still didn't achieve all of the goals that we set out to make last year. So knowing that we have, I think we use the term unfinished business, is something that we're going to really kind of hang our hats on this year too. Is we feel like we have some unfinished business from last year, and that's been helping really motivate us to start this season as well.
I know you haven't been on the basketball court yet to play that first game, but boy, these guys, I mean, to achieve 11 wins higher than the year prior, and then only lose one senior on top of that going into now to the 2024-25 season. There's going to be a lot of confidence oozing out of these guys, and a lot. And I know I mentioned the word excitement, but the confidence, excitement for these guys to know what they did last year, to then get ready to wanting to achieve more this year.
Yep, and that's kind of what we talked about. I mean, this was the best open gym numbers-wise that we've had. I think we averaged about 14 to 15 kids for open gym every single time, and that's usually not the case when you get to kind of those small-town schools, especially a smaller Class A like us. Like, we had 15 kids in the gym 3 times a week putting in the work, and that translated, even through football. They were excited. But then now that like basketball's rolling around, you can really tell that we've hit that next gear. We're really starting to focus in. And with having 14 guys, returning, helps with kind of that leadership. Those young guys coming in, they're seeing what it's like to be part of Buffalo basketball, and our older guys are really doing a good job of kind of, making that known.
Yeah, 7 seniors on this year's squad, and then on top of that, that's not even including those juniors and sophomores that got playing time last year too. Obviously only losing one guy, you're going to bring so many guys back from last year's team that had significant playing time. But 7 seniors this year, and a lot of good seniors on this team too.
Yep. Nope. We're really excited about the senior group that we got. We feel as though these guys, they were in that in between year where we kind of had that down year, but they learned a lot that year, and they've been able to kind of translate that over that next season. And they learned from those experiences. And then, we're getting Caden Montana back. We're excited kind of to see what he does this year. He got his season cut short last year, and he looks great, but he's ready to get back out there and get back onto the court. So we're excited about him. Austin Box is another returning one. The nice thing we got with these seniors is we got a lot of depth with them. Like each one of them could play a very vital role for us this season, and I think that's the beauty of it is we have a lot of potential, especially with the senior group, and then trickling down to our younger guys as well.
Talking with Joey Fisher here of the Stanley County boys basketball team. They start the season on Thursday against the Miller Rustlers in a doubleheader that they will host, and then they'll also be hosting Winter coming up next week Tuesday. Their first couple of home games, their first 2 games are both at home. Miller Rustlers are, I know that's for Miller, you saw them at the beginning of the season last year, but a team that shoots really, you guys got into a high scoring affair in that first game of the season, a 73-69 win over Miller. Whether you score 73 points again and get a win, but really a good test for this Stanley County team right off the bat.
Yep, nope, they got some nice pieces there. They lost a couple of their senior leaders from last year that they'll have to adjust with, but they're bringing back Isaac Hunter. He's a junior for him, and he's a really nice player for him. He's been playing since he was a freshman, and he's kind of stepped into that leadership role. So kind of like what some of our younger guys have done as well. And we've got some stuff put in that'll help try to neutralize them a little bit, but we know we're going to have a really good defensive effort in order to come out on top.
So now and talking with this coach's corner has been a lot about basketball, or has been all about basketball, and the girls' side of things, they get practice the week of Thanksgiving. The boys start the next week. Well, you've got what if you go Monday through Saturday, that's 6 days, and then you go Monday through Wednesday, that's 9 full days of practice without running a second practice somewhere in or there, but really 9 days, 10 days if you just include Sunday. That's kind of tough for the Stanley County team. Not much is tough because you're only losing one guy, but that's kind of tough on a coach to only get 10 days from Monday through the first day of games and a Sunday in there between. That could be a little tough on a coach, right?
It was. I was talking to Coach Conant. He's taken over as the assistant this year. He came from Winter, and he does a really nice job. But we were talking about it, and we're just like we kind of narrowed it down to what do we have to get in by this first game, and that's kind of how you got to look at it. Like obviously you want to have everything in, but just with having 10 days, like you said, you gotta prioritize the things that are most important. So it's like we focused a lot on defense, really the first week of the year, and then really practice because we're doing some new principles there. So installing that stuff, and then being able to and then we integrated some offensive stuff too. So it's like we're lucky having an experienced and an older and a mature group that's made it a lot easier to get that stuff in. But it's like you said, I mean, it can be really tough to get all that in 10 days.
Do you like the fact that you get to start at home? I think every coach would like to play, maybe not. Maybe sometimes coaches like to go on the road. But do you like the fact that you get to open up at home on Thursday?
I do. It doesn't, for me personally, I'd be fine playing on the road or at home. But I know getting that home crowd behind you that first game can kind of just, kind of relax you a little bit going into winter's always a tough environment to play, and they always have a really good basketball fan base. So being able to start out the season, open a night on our home court in front of our fans, I think will just add a little bit of comfort to our guys, and they'll go out and hopefully they perform to the best of their abilities.
Now, also, you get the game on Thursday and then end up having that Tuesday the next day. How nice is it to have that Friday, Saturday, and then, of course, you can have a shoot-around or whatever you do on Sunday, Monday get back into it, and then have that game on Tuesday. Do you like that break between that first and second game where it's not a huge break, but it's not a quick, we're going to play Thursday and Saturday here, we're going to go 5 days between games? Is that kind of a nice break to kind of see, regardless of a win or a loss, see where things are at and get ready to go for Tuesday?
Yeah, I think it's good right early in the year. It'll allow us to really see after that first game, like, what did we do really well and what do we need to improve on that's going to make a difference for us, especially early season as we progress, and especially with it being winter that second game, having a few extra days to kind of put in something in scout isn't bad at all, just because, they're Class A basketball powerhouse. They have been. And those are those signature games that you want to compete in, and then those are kind of where you make your names for yourself. So having a couple days to prep, see what we did right and wrong and adjust will serve nice, especially early in the year right before Christmas.
Again, talking with Coach Joey Fisher of the Stanley County Buffaloes. Coach, we'll wrap things up here for one final question. Biggest key, sometimes I say biggest key for a win, but biggest key for a successful game on Thursday. Obviously, the wins, you want to have them at the very end of the season, and it would be great to get that first win, but biggest key for Stanley County to be successful and to get off on the right foot on Thursday against Miller.
I'd say the biggest key is, just play our style of basketball. One thing that, we can hold our hat on always is, did we do what we wanted to do? And I think if we play our style of basketball and we force teams to play the way we want to and we don't let them dictate it, I think that's going to be the biggest key for victory on Thursday.
Well, Coach, I appreciate the time. As always, good talking to you again. Looking forward to the Stanley County season. Good luck on Thursday. We'll be talking again soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. That is Joey Fisher, head coach of the Stanley County boys basketball team. Back with more Coach's Corner after this here on KCCR and online at kccrradio.com. kccrradio.com.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your healthcare is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through every season. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. They have fully trained ASE certified mechanics on staff, ready to handle it for you. From brakes and bearings to alignments and front ends. Let their experience work for you. Over 50 years combined means you can count on them. So if it's time for a transmission flush or even a simple oil change, the only name you need to know is Graham Tire, 421 West Sioux Avenue in Pierre.
Hey, I'm just here so I don't get fined, so y'all can sit here and ask me all the questions y'all want to. I'm going to answer with the same answer, so y'all can shoot if y'all please.
This is Coach's Corner on your home for the Pierre Governors, KCCR, and online at kccrradio.com.
Back here at the KCCR studios as we wrap up Coach's Corner and wrap up Coach's Corner for 2024. Hard to believe at the end of the year. But we want to thank our coaches and Coach Brandon Kusler of the Pierre boys basketball team, Kirk Beba of the Pierre girls basketball team, and Joey Fisher of the Stanley County boys basketball team. Basketball season got underway last night on Tuesday with the girls basketball, some girls basketball getting underway. Sully Buttes and Stanley County both played. And then boys basketball teams will get themselves rolling with obviously Stanley County playing tomorrow night at home against Miller in their first home game of the season. Pierre boys will also get their season underway on Friday, along with the Pierre girls, as the boys will be at home and the girls will be traveling out to Rapid City, and then vice versa. The boys will travel to Sturgis and Spearfish, where the girls will be at home against Sturgis and Spearfish next weekend. But that, again, is the final episode and show of the 2024 Coaches Corner. We've got bowl games next week, Wednesday, starting at 4 o'clock next Wednesday. So we'll have those bowl games in its entirety next week, Wednesday, and then Christmas, New Year's, and then we get back into it in 2025. So we got 3 weeks of without Coach's Corner, but we'll have plenty of stuff. We actually got football coming up on all 3 of those days. We'll have football on Christmas Day in the evening, as well as also college football on New Year's Day. So we've got football in place of Coach's Corner, and we're okay with that. It's good to have some live football here on KCCR. But again, wraps up the show for 2024, back on January 8th of 2025. If you missed today's show, you want to go back and listen to an interview, you can head over to YouTube at KCCR Sports, as we've got all the shows archived there from this year, last year, the live shows that we used to have as well. All of that is over on YouTube at KCCR Sports. So wishing you well at the end of 2024 and into 2025. Don't forget about college football next week, Wednesday, when you don't hear us talking. You keep it tuned in for college football and bowl games, the NFL on Christmas Day, and the college football bowl games again on New Year's Day. And then we'll be back with you at 5:30, January 8th on that Wednesday right here on KCCR. Have a good rest of your week, good rest of your night, good rest of your year, and looking forward to talking with you in 2025 in Coach's Corner on KCCR.
You've been listening to Coach's Corner on KCCR and online at kccr.com. Coach's Corner is brought to you by Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Lamb Motors, Avera, Owyhee Federal Credit Union, Edward Jones Financial, Graham Tire, Kruger Contracting, CHS River Plains, Gales Gas, Bank West, and Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota. To hear the show again, head to YouTube at KCCR Sports for shows at any time. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting Sports, Central South Dakota's sports leader.